Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is Ray Burton. And Ray and I go back a fair way, but Ray goes back a bit further than before I met him as well, and he's done a lot of very interesting things in his career and has seen a few parts of the world. Today, we're going to talk about where Ray began and the decisions that he made that led to the career that he's had. So, Ray, when did you start getting into music and performing?
Yeah, it's a long story, Scott. It's a long story. I started out as a small boy, actually, playing classical piano from the age of 4. I did my first live gig at the age of 4, standing on a chair in short pants and braces at Ramsgate RSL in Sydney.
Wow.
And apparently, I can't remember so long ago, it's like, a millennium ago, it's apparently I brought the house down. So, yeah, so I was hooked. All these people loved me, and I went, okay, this could be a career. Well, my mum decided that for me because she was a piano teacher and also had her own band.
Okay.
So I was kept up late at night because she was doing the arrangements. She used to do the arrangements for the entire band.
Oh.
I was forced to play piano, and so I learned all the classics. And until I was about 12 years old, and rock and roll came along, that was the end of it. I wanted a Stratocaster, and that was it. I wanted to rock out.
When you say rock and roll came along, what were the artists that really got your attention?
Little Richard. Let me see. Little Richard. Or Bill Haley, but I was still a bit young with Bill Haley, but rockabilly. Yeah. But I remember all the old songs too, because Mum used to play them on the radio, like people like Rosemary Clooney and Perry Como and all those names, So I was influenced by that as a small kid. But yeah, then the Bill Haleys and I wasn't a huge Elvis fan, but he was cool because he broke the rules, and James Dean was the rebel and all of that. So yeah, I came from that era.
So you're learning piano, and then later you become a teenager and you get into rock and roll. When did you get your first guitar?
Well, I had an acoustic guitar, and I used to take guitar lessons in Sydney.
How old were you then?
12.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started playing guitar then, and I kind of got sick of playing scales. So, and then actually at about 13 I got my first Stratocaster, and apparently it was only the second Stratocaster in the country. That was 1962.
Wow.
Yeah, and guess who sold it to me? Jade Hurley.
Oh!
He was working at Sutton's Music Store in York Street.
Jade Hurley was?
Jade Hurley.
Wow.
Yeah, Sutton's Music Store in York Street in Sydney. So,
for those people who are watching who might not know, Jade Hurley had quite a great musical career in the country, touring around Australia.
Yeah, still doing it and filling houses.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Yeah. Well, you're only 45, Ray?
Oh, no, a bit older, 55. No, I just had my 80th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, June 22nd. So I'm a Gemini Cancer cusp person. Oh, it's hard. It's hard.
It's strange, actually. On the podcast, not that I'm heavily into the star sign thing, but I've had quite a few Geminis.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Pfeiffer, and he's a Gemini, and Marissa Burgess, both Geminis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I was born 12:35 a.m., which is 35 minutes into Cancer from Gemini. So there's a lot of Gemini going on. There's twins over here and there's a little crab over here going, don't you come near me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've got a Stratocaster?
Yep.
What do you do with that?
Practice like all hell. Actually, what happened, there was hepatitis going around in Sydney at the time, and I'd just gotten a Stratocaster, and I was like bedridden for 6 weeks. So I sat there for 6 weeks with the Stratocaster practicing.
Okay.
And when I got better and came out of my bedroom, I was actually quite good. Yeah. So I formed a band, and they were called the Telstars.
The Telstars?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we did Johnny O'Keeffe's, actually it was Brian Henderson's Bandstand,
Okay.
and Johnny O'Keeffe's 6 O'Clock Rock, and all those TV shows, the teenage shows of that era.
If you're doing TV, you must have garnished quite a following.
Yeah, we had quite a following, and actually had a hit. Funny thing, surfing was happening, so I wrote this song called Reef Ride. Mm-hmm. And it got in the top 10 in Sweden, where they ski on snow.
Did you make much money from that?
No money from that. No money from that, but, a lot of kudos and accolades.
So how did the recording of that come about?
We got signed to CBS in Sydney. Mm-hmm. There's a guy at the time called Sven Liebeck, Swedish.
So you signed a contract?
Recording contract.
You signed a recording contract with CBS?
With CBS.
Yeah. At the time, did you have legal advice before signing the contract?
No.
There seemed to be quite a lot of story about people back from that era signing contracts and not having any legal advice.
No.
Did it work out in any way in your benefit?
Not really, only not financially. It was an exercise in what not to do, right? There was a lot of experience, studio recording experience, which I didn't have much of.
How old were you at this particular point?
About 15.
Oh, okay, so you've got a recording contract and you're 15.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, okay, Telstars went for a little while and it all sort of folded, went our separate ways. And then there was a guy called Dave Bridge, guitar player, beautiful guitar player from the time. He came from Cold Joy and the Joy Boys. Mm-hmm. And he was forming his own band. He'd left the Joy Boys. He was making the Dave Bridge Quartet. So I auditioned out of about a dozen other guitar players and got the gig. So I was 16 in that. So I got the gig and then starting touring all over Australia and everything at 16.
What did your parents think about you doing that?
Well, they were stoked because Mum was a band leader, and Dad, my stepdad actually, was a singer. He was a singer and Mum was the piano player, arranger. She used to do all the horn parts and everything, the alto sax and tenor sax, and she used to write all the parts there. Yeah, she was amazing.
So they were like, good on you, get out there and give it a go.
There you go, son. Slap you on the ass and send you on your way. Come back with money.
Joining that band, was it, do you remember, were you making good money or were you living off the bones of your...
It was good money in the Dave Bridge Quartet.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was quite good money. And then that fizzled out and other things happened, and then I joined the Deltones. I was the youngest member of the Deltones. They were looking for a tenor singer, and I was a tenor singer. So again, I auditioned and got the gig.
Wow.
So then I did more touring around the country, everywhere.
How long did you do the Deltones for?
2 years.
Okay.
About 2 years. Yeah, and toured everywhere, and that was very good money. Mm. Yeah. But, I mean, being young and silly, I spent a lot of that very good money on having a very good time. Yeah, life experiences,
So you spent 2 years doing that. What were the reasons to leave that? If you're getting paid good money and you're having a good time, why would you leave something like that?
Well, I got offered the gig with the Executives. Who had already had tickets booked to America on the old Oriana, the ship called the Oriana, P&O Lines, which is defunct now. But I thought, I've been watching all the American movies and listening to the American rock stars and all of that, and said, I got to go to America. So there I was. We played on the ship over there, played our way there, and first-class accommodation and everything, and 7 meals a day. Stepped off the ship weighing about 5 kilos more. Actually, probably 10 kilos more. Yeah. So, and then, that was my introduction to USA.
So you played on the boat on the way over. What happened when you actually arrived in America?
It was Bobby Rydell's manager, a guy called Frank Day, and he actually spotted us in Australia. He was in Australia earlier on, and that's how come we got to go to America. He said, "Oh, you guys are incredible. Come to the States, you'll kill them." So, yeah, we did. And Frank Day was waiting for us there. They had an office in Hollywood and all that, and put us up in the Chateau Marmont, and we all have great accommodation, and it was good. We were provided for, put it that way.
Obviously, there was something that you needed to do in return for being provided for. Were you there to record? Were you there to tour?
Yeah.
Were you there? What happened?
Well, record. They changed their name from the Executives to Inner Sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Inner Sense, like INNERSENSE, Inner Sense. So we went in the studio and started recording an album, and that went on and on and on and on, and I just got, I can't do this anymore, So I dropped the bomb and told everyone I was leaving the band, because I'd already written, a whole swag of songs, many of which were going to be on that album, but it was taking too long to get it done. So I approached the record company and I said, "Look, I can't do this, I just want to go out solo." Then Gino, the other singer in the band, said, "But what about me? What about me?" He said, "Oh, okay, we'll do a duo." And that became Burton and Cunico.
So the two singers of the Executives left the band?
Yeah, we became Burton and Cunico.
What happened with the Executives?
Well, they all kind of fizzled and
all fell apart.
A couple went back to Australia, and Reese, the drummer, married an American and stayed there. He actually got the gig with Billy Joel.
Oh.
And Billy Joel was with the same company that we were, so Billy and I were, pretty buddies, I guess. Used to come around and write songs, sit around the piano, and I'd sit there with the guitar next to him. And
that must have been quite an experience. Had he had any hits by that stage?
He went into the same studio where we were doing our album. His first album, Cold Spring Harbor, I played guitar on that, on 2 of the tracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I played guitar on that, and we had the same management company and record company and the whole thing, so... But Billy he's a real East Coaster. It didn't take him long to go back to New York, where he belonged.
Yeah.
New York boy.
Just a quick interruption to say thank you for watching the podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. It's very early days for us and we're trying to grow things, and you can help. Please share, hit the subscribe button. It makes a massive difference. Thank you very much. You do a duo.
Yeah.
With the other singer from the Executives.
Yeah.
And what came of that?
Well, it's quite interesting, actually. We topped Sly and the Family Stone on the FM charts, believe it or not. We couldn't believe it. Yeah, for a month.
Wow.
Yeah. We said, wow, we've beaten Sly and the Family Stone. We thought they were a fantastic band, which they were.
Yeah.
But we topped them on the FM charts at the time. And because we were portable, like, Loggins and Messina or Seals and Croft or all those duos of the time, it was like flavour of the month, the duo thing. So they sent us on the road in a massive Winnebago, right?
Yeah.
And we went to all the universities and colleges and radio stations all around the west coast of America.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hoot. That was fantastic. And just playing acoustically, we didn't have to bring any gear, so we just sing and bring our acoustics and play. Right? It's fantastic. Totally portable. I was going to write a song about that. Totally portable people. Try that after 2 Chardonnays. Totally portable people. Yes. But yeah, we were totally portable, and that enabled the record company to send us everywhere, you know. And it was highly successful. And we did one of them was Brigham Young University in Utah with Jimmy Webb. Wow. He was my idol at the time. Still is one of my idol. He's just one of the most amazing songwriter. So, yeah, there were very special moments in that whole tour.
How long did that duo last?
Probably about 18 months.
And what was the reason why it disbanded, why that didn't work out in the end?
Gino stole my lawnmower.
He's cutting your grass. Did you have a fight over a girl, Ray?
No. No, Gino married an Italian-American girl, Marie, and she was lovely, you know, but it's just we just sort of drifted apart. Yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing, you know, and it wasn't long after that that I came back to Australia and formed Ayers Rock.
I mean, Ayers Rock was quite a famous Australian band.
Yeah.
It became a very famous.
Yeah.
Who else was involved in Ayers Rock?
Well, let me go one step before that. I came back to Australia and I was offered the gig with, I did Doug Parkinson for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Playing guitar?
Yeah. Playing guitar and singing. So there was Doug's voice and my voice, which is like pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open some eyes and ears. But, then I got offered the gig with Leo DeCastro and friends.
Oh, wow.
Duncan Maguire said, Ray, why don't you come and join us? And no, I've got all this going on. I went, oh, yeah, okay. So off I went and went off to live in Melbourne for a while. And that broke up too, the friends thing. And Mark Kennedy was playing drums. Duncan was on bass. I was playing guitar. Ray Oliver was playing guitar. So anyway, that broke up and we became Burton, Maguire and Kennedy. So I was doing all the singing and all the guitar work and everything.
You would have been loving it.
Too hard. Too hard, mate, you know. All the solos, everything and all those vocals. I thought, no, we have to expand the band. So anyway, we did. And we got Jimmy Doyle down from Sydney and Cole Loughnane, the sax player, who I'd been in the Deltones with previously, right, was in London. So I contacted him in London. I said, Colin, you've got to get back here. We've got a really good band going. He said, oh, look, I was coming back anyway. So I said, but you're going to have to live in Melbourne. He said, okay.
Well, it wouldn't have been a long way different from London.
No.
Maybe a bit warmer.
No. But anyway, that was the original formation of Ayers Rock. And me, having done the California thing, with Crosby, Stills and Nash and Joni Mitchell and Tom Petty and all that kind of music, that was sort of in the vein that I was writing, Mm-hmm. And then it was Ayers Rock became highly successful later on with their what would you say, jazz inflections, and they wanted to be the Australian Weather Report.
Okay.
Okay, and which they were. They pulled it off very well. But I'm going backwards and forwards here. Going back again, I said, look, I want to do songs that I actually sing and have words and,
Not instrumental.
Yeah, not so much the instrumental thing. So anyway, I fired myself.
Was instrumental music quite big back then?
Yeah, in certain circles. Not everywhere. But Weather Report with Wayne Shorter and all that, it's incredibly popular. It just wasn't my bag, So I pretty much fired myself. I said, Ray, you're fired. Right, what are you going to do now? Go backpacking in New Zealand. Okay. So I did. I went backpacking in South Island, New Zealand. They had a friend there in the middle of New Zealand, South Island, a little place called Oxford. It's about 60 k's west of Christchurch. Anyway, I used that as a base, and went all around New Zealand over what's it called, Arthur's Pass over to Westport and Franz Joseph Glacier and Queenstown. Played a couple of gigs in Queenstown, but not official gigs. I just walked in with my guitar and said, "Do you mind if I play a couple of songs?" They said, "Who are you?" Said, "I'm Ray Burton." They said, "Oh yeah, we kind of vaguely know who you are." And anyway, I did about 3 or 4 songs and brought the house down.
Queenstown's a great place.
A beautiful place.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful. It gets very cold, but it's just absolutely gorgeous, you know.
Yeah.
I love New Zealand. I really do. And I like the Kiwis too. I was always going to live there, almost.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a long time ago, but I remember coming over Arthur's Pass and there was a property for sale. This is unbelievable. It's a long time ago. Property for sale. It was 10 acres with a house on it. And I think it had a fireplace in every room. It overlooked the ocean, Westport and the ocean. 10 grand. For the all of it. Yeah, but, you know, once you place yourself there, what are you going to do? There were no gigs, there were no... You just sit there and watch the grass wave, you know. So I couldn't do that. So, yeah, I went back to Australia. What did I do then? Oh, I came back to Sydney and I was there for like 3 weeks. And then a friend of mine, Mel Clark, you know Mel?
Yeah.
Mel was already living up in the North Coast, Northern Rivers. He said, "Yeah, got to come up here, mate. It's absolutely beautiful." And I went, "Okay, yeah, I'm into green." So up I went and I rented this house on a hill in the middle of a banana plantation, all right?
Yep.
Which is where I wrote the Dreamers and Night Flyers album. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, had a little TIAC, I had a Revox, reel-to-reel, and a TIAC 4-track, right? And I used to do the 4 tracks on the TIAC, bounce it down to 2 on the Revox, and take the reels off the Revox and put it on the TIAC, and I get an extra 2 tracks out of it. 6 tracks.
So you
Can you imagine?
demoed all of the songs yourself,
Yeah.
and then went and recorded it.
Then, yeah, in Trafalgar in Sydney. And I got a recording contract with Warner Brothers.
So you wrote the songs and then got the contract afterwards, based on the demos?
Based on the demos, yeah.
When you signed that contract, did you have legal advice then?
I actually did. Yeah, I had legal advice on that one. Oh, we forgot a very important part. I wrote I Am Woman.
So how did you come to know Helen Reddy?
Well, that we'd already done, well, a lot of the traps in Australia, you know, the leagues clubs, you know, RSL clubs and, you know, little dance halls. And we knew each other from the gigs.
Okay.
Right? And Mum actually knew her too, because Mum actually played backing for her once at Hurstville RSL in Hurstville, Sydney.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Helen and I hung out together and in the States because we knew each other, like, you know. And she started talking about songwriting and she needed a song, and Women's Lib thing was just bubbling, going crazy. And I got invited to a couple of the Women's Lib meetings, right? And I was the only guy there. There's like a dozen women and the only guy there. And you know what that's like? They hate guys. Well, they did at the time anyway.
I guess this thing where you shut up and listen.
Yeah, well, I did. I sat in the corner like a good boy. And then I went to a couple of those, and then I said to Helen, look, if you feel so serious about all this, why don't you write something down? And she did. So she wrote out a little A5, you know, flyer-sized paper. Mm-hmm. And I took it home and restructured it. It was more like in prose form rather than song form, if you know what I mean. You know, the rhythmic, the meter and all that was all wrong. So I had to fix it and you know, fix a couple of lines here and there. So once again, I had the same trick. In LA, in Hollywood, I had the Revox and a 4-track TIAC. So I did the demo of that. and took it up to Helen and her husband Jeff at the time, and they heard it and just went, whoa, it's a hit, you know. So, and then Jeff ran off to Capitol Records and did a big tap dance, you know, as Jeff did.
Yes.
And Capitol said, yeah, it's good, but I don't know, you know, it's just, okay, we'll put it on the album, we'll just see what happens. So I went on the I Don't Know How to Love Him album, you know, the Jesus Christ Superstar thing. And it sat there for 2 years. And called a sleeper in the business, it just sat there. And then Stand Up and Be Counted movie came along, and they married the song to the movie, and it was like a fireworks display. It just went whoosh. It was a hit all over the world. Yeah. And by that time, I was standing on Bondi Beach going, what happened? What just happened? But I couldn't get back at the time because of immigration complications.
Oh.
Yeah. That's another story in itself. It's, apparently the way it went was a management owed a lawyer in New York quite a bit of money, like 40 grand at the time, hadn't paid him. And we'd given our passports to this lawyer because he was going to get us all green cards, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the manager didn't pay the lawyer, so the lawyer held on to our passports. Our B1 visas expired, right? So we got all our passports back in the mail with expired visas, right? Can't work, can't do anything. So I went to Canada to try and correct it. I couldn't do that. So I got back into the States, and then a few weeks later I went to Mexico to try and correct it. I couldn't do anything to that. So anyway, long story short, I had 6 hours to leave the USA. And in the meantime, I had a house and 3 cars and equipment, guitars, amplifiers, da-da-da-da. So I had to get my friends to sell it all while I came back to Australia. And Iron Woman hadn't become a hit yet. That's why I say I was standing on Bondi Beach, looking at the charts. Iron Woman's #1 in every country of the world, just about. And, well, that's an exaggeration, but it was.
It was a big
huge.
hit. It was a huge hit.
It was huge. And I actually got an award that I was supposed to get to New York for, to pick up the award, you know, like the Grammys and stuff.
Yep.
I was supposed to pick up one of those in New York. I couldn't go. I've got a certificate from BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated, that says thank you, you know, there's over 1 million sales and da-da-da. You know, that was back when it was 1 million sales, and now it's going multi-times platinum. Yeah. But, yeah, wow. The story's getting tangled.
You married an American girl. Did you meet her?
I did. That was another phase. I joined an American band called Punch. A great band. Mm-hmm. We were like one of the most popular bands in the clubs in LA. We were doing 6 nights a week, right? And you wouldn't start till 10:30, 11, and you finish at 2.
Wow.
Right? 6 nights a week. You've been there.
I have.
Yeah. So I did that for about 12 months. But in the meantime, I met my wife-to-be at that time, Cheryl, who was working in a place called the Golden Sails in Long Beach. And, well, I said to her, you know, she, what are you going to do with your life? I said, I'll probably get married one day. And she said, okay, I'll marry her. So I said, well, okay, all right, life's an adventure, isn't it? So we got married in Minnesota, where her mother was, her folks were. So we flew up there to Minnesota, and I experienced an entire Minnesota winter for the first time in my life.
Bit cold?
Well, it was, I watched the lakes freeze over, and then people would drive out there in their cars and drill a big hole and then start fishing in it. What is... Yeah, I'm a Sydney guy, you know. What is this? Anyway, I tried it a couple of times. But they used to drink a lot of peppermint schnapps to sort of get rid of the cold.
And you were a fan of the peppermint schnapps?
Well, not really. It was like liquid toothpaste. Yeah, alcoholic toothpaste, if you like. Yeah, nah.
Okay.
Nah. Give me a Shardy or a nice Shiraz any day.
You've played in a band called Punch. You've gotten married.
Yeah.
What brings you back to Australia after that?
And LA was no place to raise a kid, I thought, at the time, you know. And I already had a property here in Tommywin.
Yeah,
That
I remember that one.
that I bought before I went back to the States, you know. And I thought, we'll go back there and we'll build our little house in the prairie and live happily ever after.
You were totally off the grid at Tommywin.
Yeah.
You had the whole solar panel.
Oh.
And this was quite before the whole let's go green. You were ahead of your time.
Yeah. I lived on the edge of the rainforest for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spring water sprouting out of the mountain, and beautiful water too. And apparently it came from New Guinea. Yeah.
New Guinea?
The highlands of New Guinea, they traced it, and it goes, filters down through the earth, gets in the volcanic tubes under the earth, way under the earth, and then resurfaces again in Tommywin. But Tommywin's not the only place. There's a lot of other places that does that too. But that's just one of them. I used to call it Jack and the Beanstalk country because the topsoil was 2 metres thick, right?
Grow anything.
Yeah, you throw a seed out the window in the morning and it'd be sprouted, and that's why I called it Jack and the Beanstalk country. So I did 6 years off the grid up there. I had battery-operated guitar amplifiers, and my studio was a caravan.
Oh.
Yeah, I converted the caravan into my little studio songwriting nook.
Why did you buy the place in Tommywin?
I'd already, like say, those backwards and forward trips to the USA. And one of those trips, I saw the land prices when I came up to see Mel Clark.
Yep.
Saw the land prices and I thought, oh yeah, it's pretty reasonable, right? Then I went back to the States for a few months or whatever it was, and came back, and it doubled. The price had doubled. I went, and I knew I was going back to the States again. I thought, I better buy something now this time before I go back again. So I sat on it and did nothing with it for years, It just sat there. And eventually that's when I did something with it, when I came back married.
Yep.
Dragging a big ball around my ankle.
You had just the one daughter, Sheree?
And Chris, my son Chris.
And Chris.
Yeah.
What did having the kids do to change your life, and how did that affect music?
Well, I had a local band up there, which is a whole lot of fun, called Four Wheel Drive. And then there was a Z-Bop band.
Yes, there was.
You were in.
I was in that band.
Yeah. So, we had fun. Played some good music, rocked out. And there was another band called Four Wheel Drive, where I used to play Northern Rivers in northern New South Wales and Byron and all that. And we used to do what they called the moon dances, the full moon.
Yep.
In the community halls and things like that. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a whole lot of fun. And, a big relief from the stress of Hollywood and LA and New York. I did 10 months in New York as well. Yeah.
So what took you to New York?
Record company. Yeah.
And
Paramount.
And what was the reasoning behind going to New York?
Just to go and meet everybody at Paramount. We were in the Gulf and Western building on the 87th floor. It's a songwriting mission, really, and to introduce us to the East Coast, because, we hadn't experienced the East Coast.
Because all you'd done is the West Coast with
West
LA
Coast.
And Hollywood.
Yeah. Different ballpark, totally different. So, it was great getting around New York, and the delis there is something else. They're fantastic. Food's fantastic. And I tell you how long ago it was. I heard this amazing music coming out of there's a hotel that was downstairs. I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, I heard this fabulous swing music, you know. I went, Jesus, that's good.
Yeah.
I went down, you know who it was? Count Basie.
Oh,
It
wow.
was Count Basie and his band rehearsing.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And they're just, things like that just happen, you
So
know.
what year would that have been?
Mid-70s or something?
Mid-70s? So at that particular time, you're in New York, you've gone on a songwriting mission for Paramount. Is Paramount picking up the tab?
Yeah. That's right. Okay, it's coming back now. The Swirling Mists of Time. It was Burton and Cunico.
Okay.
So,
And by this stage, you've had a lot of
success on the West Coast.
Yep.
And they said, this is working, but now we're going to send you to the East Coast. So we did a similar thing, minus the Winnebago, right? But we did a lot of the colleges on the East Coast and up to Buffalo, which is the coldest place on earth, right? Upstate New York and Pennsylvania and all that. We're just playing Eppies, Long Island. We played there with Jerry Jeff Walker. Remember the guy, Mr. Bojangles?
Yep.
Yeah. George Carlin, the comedian, worked
Yep.
with him. You just all these little gigs. Gaslight in Greenwich Village.
Yep.
With Bob Dylan's signature on the wall. I was gobsmacked. I just went back to say, so many famous people have worked here, and I'm working here. What am I doing? Who am I? Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, you know, when people like that have gone before you, and you just have this feeling of inadequacy, you know.
Okay.
I'm not good enough to be on the same stage as Bob Dylan was on, and all of that, you know, Joni Mitchell and Richie Havens and all those guys. Yeah.
You've spent 10 months in New York doing Paramount and you're doing gigs.
Yeah.
What happened to end your time in New York and where did you go from there?
Well, it was back to LA. And we'd done our run in New York, you know what I mean, on the East Coast. We'd done our run there.
Did you feel that you'd had a lot of success in New York?
Not record sales type success, but success in people liking us, yeah, definitely. You know, because we harmonised really well. Yeah, that's one thing I'll say. We did harmonise really well. And yeah, we were fun on stage and all of that.
When you left New York, did you leave as a duo, go back to LA as a duo?
Yes.
Obviously, there was quite a bit of success and you enjoyed your time doing the duo. What became the impetus to stop doing the duo?
Well, it sort of had its run, and that's when the immigration thing raised its ugly head. Gino, in the meantime, had married an American Italian, so he didn't have the same problem that I had. So he got to stay there.
And the management hadn't paid the lawyer.
Yeah.
You had to leave, but he got to stay.
He got to stay, and Reese Clark got to stay because he married Marilyn, an American, right? So he got to play some drums on a couple of, well, he did 2 tours, I think, with Billy Joel, playing drums. He's a great drummer, Reese. Yeah.
You obviously made quite a few trips backwards and forwards from Australia to America.
Yeah.
And so part of it was chasing money that you were owed, that you didn't get paid. Was there any reconciliation in that department? Did you actually manage to get the money that you were owed?
Not the money that I was owed because of the statute of limitations. 7-year statute of limitations in the USA. Right?
So they've got your money and...
Yeah. And the money that they made and spent was more than 7 years ago.
And that would have been, I would imagine, a quite large sum of money.
It was a large sum of money that I didn't get. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a bitter pill.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be.
Yeah. The Dreamers and Night Flyers album, right, which happened after Ayers Rock, in 1978, when I recorded that album in 1979, I went back to the States for Warner Brothers, because it was a Warner Brothers album.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yep.
I went over there to sort of promote it and do all that, and yeah. So that was, there's a reason for the last trip.
So that was the last trip to the US?
Oh.
You've
That
gone back.
trip.
That
trip.
You've gone backwards and forwards that many times. It's hard to keep track.
I know.
Do you love America?
I like the geography of America, and I have some very good friends in America, but I don't like the politics of America. Yeah. It's an amazing country, from the best to the worst of all. You know, it really is. And some incredible musicians and singers and studios and technology, and it's all happening. But yeah, I think it needs to be revised.
Yeah, I think they're in the midst of some sort of massive revision at the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we won't name names or anything.
You've had a long career playing music. If you were to go back and talk to your 15, 16-year-old self, what would you do today differently than you did back then?
2 years of law.
2 years of law. You've got the two kids.
Yeah.
Are they into music?
Not so much Chris, but Sheree definitely has the music gene. It's like a virus.
Is that something that you encouraged?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I'm not one of those forceful parents, but when you hear it, you hear it. She'd sing something and she'd sing all these licks, and I go, oh, okay, a bit of blues in there, and you just hear things, and say, okay. And then when she was going to school, I bought her a soprano saxophone.
Yes.
And she went straight to the top of the class in the school band because she was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so she can read music and do all that, and she gets it. She knows a good singer and a bad singer, and a good guitar player and a bad player, all of that. She's got ears, little big ears.
I know that you write, and you still write songs. Because you basically, that thing is, music is your life, and it's something that you've just never stopped doing.
No.
What are you working on currently?
Well, I've got 16 new tracks that I've got, that I've done backtracks for myself. Mm-hmm. They're not high-end studio quality, but they're good enough to get vocals on. And I just want to get some vocals on there, so I've got a representation of the song. Yeah, so there's about 16 new ones that I've got. But what I'm going to say about songwriting is I've often likened it to being a painter, like a Monet or Renoir, whatever. They paint until they drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see them out in the paddock at 90 years old with their canvas doing a landscape, and probably drop dead with a brush in his hand. But I'm a bit the same. I think songwriting's the same. It's not something you can just stop and say, okay, I'm going to stop writing now. You can't do that.
It's part of who you are.
It's very much part of who I am, because I've been writing them since I was a small boy, even in the classical piano days way back then. I'd be walking around the park with melodies in my head, my own melodies, not the classical ones. Just I go, think of it. Knew nothing about guitar chords at that stage, but I had little one-liners and songs and little licks in my head. Yeah.
You've written songs that have been used in musicals and in movies and stuff. Would you talk about how did that come about?
Well, the movie Rabbit Run, that was through that Frank Day American manager, right? So, yeah, I wrote a couple of things for that.
Were you given the script? Were you asked to write a particular song for a particular manner, or
No. I looked at the script and said, and talked to the director guy and say, this is the scene, this is what's happening in the scene,
Yep.
and I want this kind of attitude, that kind of mood, you know?
So you were given direction as to what they wanted.
Yeah. So I just went away and did it.
Did you get offered other chances to write in other movies, or was that the main?
No, well, it's the same story as the I Am Woman thing. The movie was, approximately around the same time, and having to come back to Australia, that was my launching pad for being an international songwriter, right?
Yeah.
So I got cut off at the knees by these stupid immigration laws, right? Now they've just opened up the gates for Australia just recently. You don't even go to a checkout anymore. You just go through this little buzz thing. Yeah, I'm Australian, press a button, and in you go. Wasn't like that then.
No.
So I'm a victim of circumstance. Hollywood tragedy.
Someone should write a movie.
Oh, I'm a Hollywood tragedy. No, I'm not. No, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Financially, throughout your life, has music been the thing that has sustained you financially?
Yeah, I've had to rely on that. Yeah, even doing the solo gigs around, anywhere from the Sunshine Coast out to Warwick and Stanthorpe and down to Coffs Harbour, that big semicircle. I did every club, played every club. Yeah, I did that for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with the van full of gear and driving home, you know all about that too.
Yeah, I do.
You go out there with the van full of gear, you set it all up, you do your 4 hours and you put it all back in the van, you drive home in the freezing cold, your knuckles are blue.
Put the heater on, Ray.
No, the heater's broken. Yeah, the headlights go out and you got to drive home in the full moon. No, not quite, I'm exaggerating, but...
What would you say would be the highlight of your career? The thing that gave you the most amount of pleasure?
Many years ago at Lane Cove National Park, it was one of those 2SM concerts.
Oh, yeah.
And they reckoned they were going to get 10,000 people there. 80,000 people showed up. Oh. 80,000. And, we weren't the only ones on the show. I think that was the executives. We weren't the only ones. Billy Thorpe was there. Just everyone was there. But standing in front of 80,000 people is an amazing experience, You just hope they don't stampede. Right? Yeah. Hope they like this song.
And that would have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, but working with Jimmy Webb at Brigham Young University too, that was an amazing experience. And then, in the early 60s, I toured. Oh, that's another band I played with, The Questions.
The Questions?
Yeah. Doug left, and there was The Questions, and then that name got changed to Dynasty. And I did a lot of those early 60s tours too with The Who and the Small Faces, John Paul Young from Manfred Mann Group, PJ Proby, Joan Armatrading. Oh, yeah, so there's all that. They're pretty much highlights of the Queen. I toured with Queen.
When did you do that?
Actually, yes, there's one highlight. We were on the Queen tour, right? And Freddie Mercury was being a little shit. He was prone to be that. So we started the tour in Perth, and we came across, and did that. We ended up in Brisbane, and the roadies sort of weren't very happy with Freddie and all that, and they really liked us. We got to know them in the hotels and had a couple of drinks and chats together and everything. And they said, okay, we get to Perth. It's the last gig of this run. We're going to give you all the lights and all the PA.
Because it was that typical thing that happened back then, where if you were the support band, you would basically, they'd turn the lights off and the PA back, and because they didn't want you to basically look as... They wanted to make sure that the main act was the main act.
Exactly. So what happened was they gave us all the lights, all the flashlights and everything like that. And they must have been going back to England, and maybe all the sound crew and everything were going to leave or something. But anyway, they gave us everything, and the band played really well that night. You know, Bill Fleming playing drums. Bill's a great drummer, and it was a really good band. And through the second song, Queen song, they started chanting for us. Yeah. Oh. That was, I just went, oh my God, this is Queen. It was early days Queen. I mean, you know, they wouldn't have done that 10 years ago. It was more than 10 years ago, you know. But yeah, they started chanting for us.
Wow.
In Brisbane. And I thought, whoa.
Because
that's serious.
Queen must have had a quite a odd experience in Australia, because they also got booed at
Sunbury.
Sunbury.
Yeah, we were there too.
Oh, you were there?
Ayers Rock was there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you played at Sunbury?
Yeah.
How was that? Was that a great festival?
It was a great festival, yeah. 1974.
74, because there was 75. Was it? Because it wasn't long after that Sunbury...
Yeah, I think it might have been the year after.
I think 75 they did, and then after that it was all over?
I think somebody died in the lake or the pool there, and then they just went, no more, you know, understandably. But, yeah, they only...
How big an audience would you have played to at Sunbury?
I was quite a few thousand. It wasn't 80,000, though.
No,
it wasn't as big as the Lancaster. That was just like a sea of people that went over the hill like that. And it was just like quite intimidating, actually. Yeah, if they all took a run at you.
They'd have to be organised. Who's going to organise them to do that?
I don't know.
That pack mentality.
Yeah.
What size PAs were you using in those days to play to an audience that large? Were the PAs capable of...
Jans. It was Jan stuff. From memory, I think it was all Jans. They set it all up. It wouldn't be as sophisticated as it is today, but I mean, it was pretty damn good.
How was the fallback?
Too
loud. Did you hear your voice?
No, actually too loud.
Too loud?
The horns were too loud. Like ear-splittingly loud. Yeah.
Because they were loud enough so that Billy Thorpe could turn his guitar up.
I know. That's another story. I went to Thorpe's rehearsal once in LA, at the big rehearsal rooms down there at the end of Sunset Boulevard. And Lee Sklar was playing bass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with Billy.
Really?
And the rehearsal was so loud, I could barely get in the door, you know.
Well, he had a reputation for being very loud.
Crazy loud. It didn't need to be that loud, unless you're stone deaf, you know. I mean, yeah. I saw Dolly Parton there one day too, in the same rehearsal rooms. Not that same day, but I used to go down there from time to time and, you know, see Santana rehearsing and other people, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and Thorpe was there that day. Actually, Thorpe invited me down. Went to a party the following week with Ricky Lee Jones. Met her in the kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, Chucky's in Love. You remember that? Yeah. Had a bit of a mag in the kitchen, Ricky Lee Jones.
Because Ricky Lee Jones also wrote The Horses, didn't she? The Darryl Braithwaite hit.
Did she write that? I'm not sure.
I know that Darryl Braithwaite didn't write it. How did you find the transition through the time? Like, you would have seen things in the 60s and the music industry, how it was then with PAs and performing live. And then you would have seen the changes in the 70s. Oh. And then, obviously, the changes, because by the time when I met you, it was the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must have seen a lot of change. How did that affect the way, from your point of view, performances and audiences?
Um,
Like you were saying, you were doing when you started initially doing the tour with the duo in America.
Yeah.
It was just the two of you with acoustic guitars.
yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, usually at the venue, like the colleges, and they have their own PA systems,
Yep.
their own radio stations, and some of them we did just on the radio station.
Okay.
We just play in the radio
Because
cubicle.
college radio is a big thing in
Yeah,
America.
and it would go to air.
Because a lot of big bands get broken on college radio
Yeah.
in America. Well, they used to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the same.
Well, that was the idea with us too,
Let's get,
and it kind of worked, because that's when we topped Sly and the Family Stone.
yeah.
Because of that, I guess. You didn't really need to take any equipment because those sorts of places, the unis and the colleges had their own setups, So if you're going to be playing in front of any kind of audience, they usually had a couple of mics and PA and, yeah.
How did that compare to Australia?
Oh, well, we really didn't have that stuff, did we?
No.
I played, well, later on I played Sydney, Monash University, Sydney Uni. I played a lot of unis here, but we don't have colleges like America.
No.
No.
Did you have to hire PAs for those particular gigs, or was that provided for you by somebody?
I provided, yeah. At the college ones, you're saying?
In Australia?
Oh, in Australia? No, you used to have to haul your own. Haul your own, roll your own PA.
Because I know in the 80s, when we were playing together,
Yeah,
the gear used to go around in a 16-ton truck.
I know.
That was a lot of gear.
WBs.
I was lugging gear. I remember
know.
that you didn't lug very much gear, but that was okay because I was young and silly. Prior to that, in Australia, were you using that size? When you were touring around, was it that size gear or was it smaller?
Smaller, yeah. No, but I do remember the W bins and you're crushing under the weight, the W bins.
And all of the lifting,
Now-
going upstairs in New South Wales RSLs, which always had stairs.
Always.
Always.
The worst one of all, Sawtell.
Sawtell. I thought the worst one
the
was
back stairs?
Taree, where you had to go up and then turn a corner. And then go.
Oh, yeah, maybe, it could be. Well, Sawtell's right there.
Yeah, Sawtell.
There are 3 flights, right? And up again. Yeah, and they're steep. Got a big guitar amplifier. By the time you get up there, like this arm's like 10 centimetres longer than that arm.
Speaking of equipment, you had a favourite guitar that you made it yourself out of parts from Schecter? It was a Schecter guitar.
Oh, it's I call my Strato Gib.
Yeah, it had 3 humbuckers
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
how did you come to work at putting out, because it was obviously something that you had modified and made your own.
Yeah.
What prompted that?
Well, I just took the best of a lot of different guitars and put them onto one, you know what I mean? It was a Schecter body of swamp ash, which is quite rare now. It's hard to get a hold of. And I like the humbuckers. So I had 3 humbuckers I got Lindsay Fralin set up in there now, right? I love the Washburn Bridge. They're so good because, the infinitely tunable and all that.
And the guitars the strings don't go through the body. They actually do a quick change thing.
Quick change, yeah, you can lay it on a bench and put it straight in. You don't have to go in the dark trying to get it through the hole. So if you bust a string on the gig, you can just do it really quickly.
Yep.
Right? And a warm-off neck with what they call the wizard neck.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a broader neck, which, I play more with my fingers these days, and the thumb pick, a Herco thumb pick. I haven't got one with me to show you, but... And, so you can get your fingers in a little better, and, my fingers have gotten a
So
bit...
you've still got the guitar.
I've still got it.
You've had that for how many years? Did you put that together in the 70s or the 80s? When did you first start working on that guitar?
I'm working it out. 79.
79.
In 79, yeah. That's what I bought. I went over the valley and I bought the Schecter guitar, what's supposed to be a 1958 Fender neck, which is worth a mozza.
Wow.
I've still got it.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's no number at the end of it. Like, you know how they've got
Yes.
numbers?
Yes.
There's no number. But it's identical to any out of the 58 neck I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen them on eBay and things like that. They're $7,000 just for the neck.
Do you have any vintage instruments? Like, can you remember what happened to that original Stratocaster you got when you were
I sold it like an
13?
idiot.
13 when you?
I sold it.
I was going to say, can you imagine how much that'd be worth now?
I know. It was a Sunburst one too. It was,
So that would have been a 60s Strat?
yeah, well, I got it in 62, so they would have made it before that.
Yeah.
So it could have
Been a 60,
been a
61.
60. Not sure. I don't remember. I was still young and stupid.
So it would have been either L, was that an L series or pre-L?
I can't even
Pre-L.
remember that. That's how stupid I was. You know? But I weren't taking those sorts of things into account. Like, it was
No,
just-
there was...
It was a Stratocaster, and that's all that mattered, you know?
Yeah, the whole collectible thing didn't happen till much later on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was relating a story to Ross Mercer about how I had the opportunity to buy a 56 gold top Les Paul in the early 80s
Gold.
for $800.
Oh, no.
But that's all it was worth back then.
Yeah, I
The
guess
whole
it's all-
collectible thing hadn't really kicked off, as far as I knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I was young and silly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't have the money. I couldn't afford it.
Now we're
it was too
old.
much money. I couldn't afford it.
Now we're old and silly. Isn't that great? Nothing's changed.
You had a wonderful Gibson Hummingbird guitar that you said to me you wrote I Am Woman on that
I
particular
did.
guitar.
I did.
And you held on to that for quite a long time.
Yep. My daughter has it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a
That's
1961 Hummingbird.
Do you find that particular instruments have a song in them? Do they influence the way you write?
They do. I mean, not saying that guitar wrote that song, but it was in my hand when the song got written.
Did you write anything else on that guitar?
Oh, yeah, plenty. All of those Burton and Candigo songs.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the executive songs.
Did you take that guitar with you backwards and forwards from Australia to America, or was that?
Yeah.
Did you buy it in America, or did you buy it in
I
Australia?
bought it in America.
Okay.
Yeah, and for 1971,
Wow.
somewhere around there. Yeah, and I've got a 1961 Epiphone 12-string called a Serenader.
Oh, wow.
That has an amazing story because I was living in a little place in Hollywood. The guy next door, his car broke down. And I had this old Dodge Dart that I bought off. You know Dave McRae and
No.
Joy Yates?
No.
Don't know them? Well, they were in the States at the time. And they were coming back to Australia. They'd already been there. They were there before me. And they were selling their Dodge Dart, right? And I had no transport at the time. I said, oh, yeah, great. You know, you've done 50,000 K on it. I'll probably do another 50,000. How much you want for it? He said, give us $150. $150, right?
Yep.
So I said, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. $150. So I've got the Dodge Dart. And I've had it for about a couple of months or something like that. And the guy next door, his dad had actually passed away. And he's in his dad's house. And his car broke down. He said, oh, it's unfixable, you know. He's just got to get rid of it. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do for transport. I said, yeah. He said, I've got to clean up this place too. I said, oh, okay, what are you going to do? He said, oh, there's shit in the attic and there's stuff everywhere. I said, oh, yeah. Okay, so we're having a beer, Budweiser at the time. We're looking around, I go up in the attic there, and it's a dusty old guitar case. And what's in there? I said, oh, it's just one of Dad's old guitars. He said, you mind if I have a look? I said, oh, there it is, the 1961 12-string Serenader Epiphone. Not Kalamazoo, Michigan Epiphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I said, look, I've got a bargain for you. He said, what? I said, I'll give you my car if you give me that guitar. He said, oh, yeah? Yeah, bargain. Yeah, sure. I said, okay. So I gave him the keys to the car and I went home with this dusty old battered up guitar case, right?
Oh, wow.
And cleaned it all up, and that's the story of the 12-string, and I've still got it today.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Epiphone from back then is a very different company and a very different guitar from the Epiphone now, which is owned by Gibson.
Yeah.
And the Epiphone is their cheaper brand stuff, because Epiphone was its own company back then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it made very high-end instruments.
And again, it's got a wide enough neck, it's almost a classical neck, where, you know, 12 strings are really hard to get your fingers in. Whereas this is wide enough where you can get your fingers in.
Have you written anything on that particular guitar that's been good for you?
Yeah. What have I written? Friends. That's one that I had on the Blue Az album. That was the Byron Bay album.
Blue Az was an album that you did that had quite a few great players on it.
Yeah, Greg Lyons and Jeff Wright and Russell Dunlop, who's now passed. Poor old Russ. Dave Sanders on drums, and oh God, there was so many. Larry Russell keys. I can think of them all now. Muzz, Murray Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From MySex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Muzz.
And that was an album that you did
2009 I did that.
2009.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really long time ago. I go, is it really that long ago? Yeah. Everything's long ago now.
Did you have any success with that album? I mean, it's 2009. The record industry would have changed quite a lot. Is that album available for streaming?
No, I got some of the tracks up there on Reverb Nation.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of my stuff up there on Reverb Nation. If anybody wants to check it down, yeah.
Is Dreamers and Night Flyers available for streaming? Is that album?
No, but I've cleaned up a lot of the tracks digitally, so I own everything on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to fight to get that back too.
Oh.
Yeah. Another long story. It's a movie, mate. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
3-hour movie.
It's a movie. Do you ever have any contact with the people that you work with in America in the early days?
A couple of the guys from Punch, yeah. Jim Altman, good friend, and David Battling. He's back on the East Coast again. And 2 guitar players. And yeah, they're good guys. They're good guys.
Are they still playing music for a living, or?
Off and on, you know.
Off and on.
I think Dave's probably more than Jim, but yeah, they still have a play. They're great guitar players. Yeah.
Is there anything that you've done that you regret doing, or that you would do very differently if you had your time over again?
No, I think everything I've done is for a reason, except the fact, like I said, you know, I wish I'd have studied law and knew what I was doing when I was green in the early days. But everyone was green in the early days.
Yep.
You know, I'm not the only...
That's part of the learning experience.
Yeah. No, I think it was all, you know, a destiny thing, or, you know, predestined, I don't know. I think what happens is probably supposed to have happened. I'll probably get reincarnated and know too much for my own good when I come back.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. 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 You're my mother. How do I know that? Yep. Can you sign this piece of paper, please, stating that you are my mother?
And you still play guitar for several hours a day?
No,
No?
not several hours. No.
How often would you play?
Well, not a lot lately, actually. Not a lot. I've been too busy doing other things, you know. Wherever I get a chance, I'll sit down for an hour or so and have a bit of a noodle, you know. And
Do you ever play piano?
I used to, but I don't play that so much anymore either.
Do you have a piano at home?
Yeah, I have access to a piano, yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of... You were saying before, is there a difference in writing? Yeah, things you write on piano and things you write on guitar are very different. You know, they turn out different. I went through an exercise once of trying to play piano chord inversions on guitar.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah. To try and emulate that same sound. But, you know what I mean? Why do that when you've got a piano?
How do you feel about the whole concept of AI and songwriting from a machine point of view?
The thing is, all the information that's fed into AI has to come from human brains anyway. So it has to be some kind of copyright infringement there, don't you think?
It's certainly another change to the industry that's going to have a massive effect, and we don't know, I guess, which way that's going to go just yet.
Yeah. Well, I saw a thing on YouTube last week, this guy having a rant and a rave how there are no bands anymore.
Yes, I did see the similar thing.
That one?
Yeah, he talked about, if you look at the charts from the 80s, 70s and 80s, where 90% of the hit songs in the charts were by bands.
Yeah.
And in the last 20 years, probably more, there's virtually no bands in the top 10.
And it's just dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and it's like it's just become like Taylor Swift or either John Mayer, or although he plays in bands, but it's John Mayer. It just doesn't
Taylor
happen.
Swift plays in a band, but it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But I guess it's that thing where it's become more about individual artists.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a certain, probably a reason behind that, which would be the financial aspect. It's easier for a record company to sign an individual person than it is to sign a whole band. Because if you sign a band, it's an entity that can break up, and record companies want somebody who is responsible, who that they can hold down to and tie to a contract. I guess the other big thing, the big difference between a solo act and a band, a lot of times the music that a band would generate isn't necessarily being generated by just that one person. It's actually a conglomeration of styles from all of the different people.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why, too, it's really hard to hold a band together.
Yeah.
It's amazing, like a band like the Rolling Stones has managed to stay together for so long, because there is a conflict of opinions and people fighting for their songs. I mean, the Eagles are notorious for fighting within the band. Fleetwood Mac were notorious for fighting within the band.
I know. But they had a fantastic business model, and why mess with that? You know? Yeah, we're going on tour again, guys. How much do I get at the end of it? Oh, $5 million. Is that okay? All right. I'll go.
I guess until it gets to the point where you go, you know what, I don't need the money anymore.
I know.
And then it becomes like, well...
They don't know what else to do.
What are the reasons why you're doing it? And I guess it's that thing. It's like for the Rolling Stones. It's like the money. It's not about the money anymore.
No.
So there obviously is a great love for the music.
Yeah. And what goes with it? You know, the audiences, the hotel stays, the food, the travelling around the world, all of that. You know, they're just hooked up in the incredible Rolling Stone circus.
Do you find that you still have a love for music like you did when you were a teenager?
Yes, but in a different way. I don't have the unbelievable enthusiasm. But yeah, I still love music. I don't like going to big concerts and stuff. I mean, you know, COVID put an end to that. You know, I see all these bodies and breathing COVID viruses into the air.
You were saying at the moment, that you think you've got a pretty good iron constitution, as it were, because you've got people around you that have all got the flu at the moment, and you still managed to...
I said I had the immune system of a bull elephant.
That's right, that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, I'm going pretty good, actually, but I take vitamin supplements and do all that thing, and I try to eat the right foods, but every now and again I'll break out and eat a lamington or something, or a pie, heaven forbid.
Would you say that you are an introvert or an extrovert?
I have my moments. That's the Gemini Cancer thing. The Gemini extrovert and the Cancer introvert.
Ah.
Yeah, because most Geminis seem to be flamboyant and out there, and most Cancer people, full-blown Cancer people, are very reserved and hold back,
But I think whether it's true or not, of the Cancer people tend to be very artistic.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with Phil. Phil was a Cancer.
Yeah.
I've got a great mate, Rowan Hems, very artistic-oriented sort of person, Cancer.
Yeah, very creative.
Very creative.
Yeah. And so I like to think of myself as wonderfully crazy. The borderline between... I'm not saying I'm a genius, I'm not, but it's a thin line between genius and insanity, and we walk that line, and you can fall either side at any given moment,
Thanks for watching the podcast today, and thank you, Ray. It's been a pleasure
Scott. It's been
speaking
an
to you.
Pleasure, yes.
And I'll put links to a lot of Ray's stuff that I can in the description below. Hopefully I'll see you on the next podcast.
Thank you.